Good morning. I'm Jan Edmondson, and today I'm going to show you what my method is for my recent pours and all of the steps that I go through and the materials that I use. So my pours, let me get a little example of it. My pours that I've been doing recently are something similar to this. And you know that sometimes there's cells in there, there's a lot of lacing in there, make these little abstract forms. And I do this by kind of two things. First, I use what's called a liquid panel. So it's a panel with quarter to an eighth of an inch lip around the side so the paint doesn't go anywhere. And so I pour into that so there's no runoff. And oops, let me put that guy away. And then I also kind of use what I call sort of an open cup method. So when I'm pouring, I pour into a cup, which I have just cut the top off of, and it's just sort of a puddle pour, but then with drag. So there's no flipping, nothing like that. So I've mixed my colors already. I'm going to actually do two panels today. I'm going to do a rainbow, but with two panels. So I'm going to do red, orange, and yellow in the first one, and then I will do green, blue, and purple in the second one. And I'm going to just go ahead and mix my the blue. And I am using, like you can see, there's blue already in here, so I'm going to add to it. But I always measure my stuff because I just want to make sure. I mean, the paint works because of densities, and so you always want to make sure that you're sort of using a consistent densities. And a lot of people get great pours and things like that by sort of winging it and eyeing it, and you do sort of start to understand the feel of the paints. But I just really find for me it's good to just measure for the most part. So I got this cheap little thing on Amazon. It was like $10, which was great. And you can pour with paint already in it. So I started to zero with that already in it. Today I'm using all the acrylic paints that you can get at Target. This one is called Deep Sea. It's so pretty. So generally, I'm measuring in ounces. So I'm just gonna add a couple ounces here to the bowl, and once I get, here we go, about 2 ounces. My measurements for this particular type of painting is 1 part paint to 2 parts Floetrol. So I'm going to put in now 4.4 ounces of Floetrol. Oops, that's white. Good thing I did not do that. All right, and so I'll just pour it in. That's 2 and 4. Okay. And then I always use dimethicone, just pure dimethicone, 1 drop. That was actually 3 drops, but that's okay. And I have always mix it in. A lot of people don't because they get the bigger cells, which is great. For this particular kind of painting that I'm doing, I really just, I like the patterns and things like that it creates when the paint's all kind of mixed in like that. So, and I think hopefully you'll see as we do this. I've done so many of these now, it's which is nice. Okay, so what you'll find, the sort of fluidity of it is runny. Like Anne Marie says, it's really like honey, like warm honey, runny. And I don't know if you can really see that very well, but it's very fluid, but it is still kind of thick. If you were to pour it on, it would spread out a little bit, but it wouldn't just run all over the place. And that's really kind of what you're looking for. Okay. I do the same, measurement or whatever for each of those cups and for the white. So the white is also 2 parts white and, 1 part white, 2 parts Floetrol. And just a note on the white, I can't even tell you how many whites I've tried, just so many. And I'm telling you, the Artist Loft Flow White is just by far the best. It gives consistent results. The fluidity of it is so nice. It's really smooth. It dries great. I really love it. I'll show you. I get these at Michael's. So it's the Artist Loft Flow Acrylic. They come in big bottles, and I love this white. It's really, really good white. And I've tried sort of expensive whites, cheap whites, everything. I just prefer that one. And then, of course, the Flood Floetrol. So there you go. Okay, again, quickly colors. So in this one, I'm using, again, all the Target ones. So we've got Candy Apple, we've got Blood Orange, and we have Carrot, which is this yellow. And it's so pretty. It's really rich. Okay, then for greens, we have Norfolk Pine, but I actually mixed it with a lighter green that I had randomly, which unfortunately I don't remember, but you can see it's just a little bit lighter. And then we've got Deep Sea, one of my favorites, and then Eggplant. I also mixed with a magenta, which unfortunately, I'm so sorry, I don't recall what the magenta was, but you can see it's a little bit lighter, and so it's this really really pretty color. Anyway, okay, here we go. Let me put this baby away. All right, and just take a quick sip of coffee. Cheers. What are you drinking? I have black coffee here. All right. Okay, so first thing I do is pour down white. And like I was telling you, you can kind of see it's liquid, but it's not super, super runny, right? So it starts to kind of run out a little bit. And I don't like it to be too thick, but it does need to kind of spread out a little bit. So usually what I do is I'll pour white on like this and spread it out. And the reason that I do this is because and sometimes, Flow paint kind of has a mind of its own at times. It is what it is, but I don't really like it to go all the way to the edge because I do like this to be a bit of a frame if I can help it. And so I spread it out just sort of shy of the edges so that I can, control it somewhat. The paint will have an easier time spreading within the center where there's already paint and a harder time spreading around the edges where there's no paint. So that's one way that you can sort of control it. And I see just a big little lump in here. And so I do try to take those out if I need to. Okay. So there's that. And that is fine. Looks good. I'm going to start with the red and the orange and the yellow. And you will find, the order does count, so test different things. So I'm just going to start by pouring a little white down there. And then I think I'm going to start with this. Okay, we'll start with red. So we'll pour that. And I am not going to do like I'm not going to do like over and over and over again. I'm just going to do one pour for each color. And the other thing too, no, I think I'm going to do the colors just so they mix. So if you put white in the middle, which sometimes I'll do to keep colors from getting muddy, then, the colors won't mix as much. There was a big lump in there, but that's all right, we'll get that. So you can see the cup is already starting to move as the paint's starting to come out, which is cool, because that's the effect that we want. All right, and then I'm gonna pour some yellow here in the middle. And then we're gonna do white, just a little bit on the top. All right, now let's get control of this baby. All right, so here is lift it up just a little and just drag it slowly around. And I then sort of move it in the middle. There, okay. Now, and you can see, I mean, the cells just start popping up. They'll really make this neat lacing, which is cool, and it just takes a little bit of time, so we'll just let it sit there for a minute, and I'm just wiping my cup off because I'm going to use it again for the green, blue, and the purple. So you can see there's the red in there. There is the orange, yellow. They're going to start coming up through the circles. That's really cool. Okay. Now, there's two things I'm going to do. So this little blob in the middle, sometimes I like it, but sometimes I don't. And this particular one, I just don't, I'm not a huge fan of. So I'm just going to, like, do something with it so it's not quite so blobby. That's my word of the day, blobby. All right. Yes, I like that. Okay. So then I'm just going to take it and move it around a little bit so it's this hair more symmetrical. That's really cool. And I do sort of like the organic shapes. Moving it also helps, to open things up. But you can see so many cells have popped up that really makes that lacing look. Cool. I really like that. What do you think? Looks pretty cool. Okay, that one's good. All right, so we'll leave that to do its thing. And what I'll do is after I pour, then I'll just fill in, I'm gonna kind of let it sit there for a minute, but then I'll just fill in white here and here and here, all the way to the edges. And that'll look really good. So let me move this guy out of the way and then we'll get the next one. All right. On to the next. All right, so I'm gonna pause it for a minute here so I can just whip up a little bit more white paint and I'll be right back. All right, now I'm gonna pour this, do the same thing. So this is just gonna go right in the middle, pour a blob in there, and then we'll spread it around. Same thing. And oh, I'm gonna have to show you the other one too. Like once I'm done, I'll take you down to see the other ones. It's really neat looking. It actually looks almost like fire. It's cool. All right, so pour this guy around. He's a little slow this morning. He hasn't had his coffee. Come on, you. There we go. All right, good. Good. Okay, speaking of, I gotta have another cup of coffee. I'm only on number 1. This is number 2. I'm like a 3 coffee kind of girl. Okay. Now, I wiped off my cup. Sometimes there is residual. I mean, it is what it is. But the light paint sometimes makes a really cool pattern. Okay. We shall pour this white in. And then, do I want purple on the outside or green? You guys, I think I want purple on the outside, so I'm gonna do purple first. Yeah, purple first. I saw a bunch of lumps go in there. And because this is so thick, I don't really usually see the lumps when it dries, unless it's a really big lump or if it's in the white. All right, there's the blue. I love this blue. It's just my favorite. And we got our green going. Starting to come out. Okay, and then I'm gonna just pour a little bit of white. Stop that, you. Okay. On this top. All right, there we go. All right. So just lift it up a little bit and pull it around. I try to look through so I can kind of see. Sorry if my hair is in the way. Okay. Well, yeah, it looks cool. All right. Oh, that's all right. Okay, I'm gonna leave that and let me just start to spread it out a little. You can see I did not use the flame on this. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Just really depends. Now this one, I had to move a little bit more, which is fine. And I gotta be honest, I might use the flame on this one. See right in here where there's a lot of white. Let me just give it a minute and just see what happens with it. Sometimes they'll bubble up. I mean, actually now you can see I was just kind of tapping on it to try to get some of those bubbles up to break. Doesn't that look cool? Look at that. I love this. Like, I call the caterpillars when I get these like longer lines. So I like it. Okay. And then sometimes see, like this blob here, sometimes again, it just depends. Like sometimes I'll let them, do their thing. Sometimes I'll mess with them a little. This is beautiful. I'm just gonna turn it a little. My circle got a little messed up because I poured it a little bit too quickly. Okay, so this is really good. I'm gonna show you one thing I do too. So like I told you, I don't necessarily like them coming up to the edge, but in this case, it definitely flowed to the edge that direction. So here's how we kind of fix that. So first of all, this I'm gonna try to move a little bit. Sorry if you heard that sneeze. That's my man upstairs. He's just getting up. Just give it a little bit more space to move. He was really loud. Okay, so here's what I do on this one. So this one's okay, even though it came to the edge, the color's like not right against it. But for this one, I don't have my trusty plastic spoon, so let me go get that. I'll be right back. So here's what I do with this. I just take the spoon and pour it right along the edge to move that paint over. Oops, I got some in the painting. That's okay, I think it's gonna work out. Now the paint will wanna self-level, so it'll start moving. And then, you can use, now it's moving a little too much, so I'm just gonna pull this outward so that we can get some of that stuff moving back. See that? Pretty neat, huh? It's okay to get paint on the side of these. I sand them down afterwards. And then that way they'll be nice and pretty. All right, again. There. So that's pretty cool, huh? All right, and then, again, if you want to move stuff and reshape it, just move some of this stuff, and then the paint will follow. So, or if you don't, these look like little ghosts. Happy Halloween. If you don't, then that's okay too. See, now some of these popped up, but some of them didn't. And I don't think I'm gonna, no, I think I am gonna flame it. Hold on. I mean, it's always a debate. What's the right thing to do? See if it works. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's starting to come out. I mean, not as much, but that's okay. It still looks really cool, organic. Look at that. That's really neat. Great. Okay, now let me fill in the sides. Since I got my spoon over here, I can just show you. Okay, let me get the other one. Move the little plant guy out of the way. All right, here's the other one. Isn't that neat? Oh, I do like them. Okay, and see, again, so with this one, it came over to the side as well. And I almost like, I mean, I'm being a little too silly to say, like, it's almost like maybe they flow into each other a little. Nah. So for this one, you know, I'm just gonna do the same thing, a teeny bit over here, where I just start to pour it and try to move it off of the edge. There. See how that worked pretty well. So yeah, so there's that. And let me bring the camera down for a close-up so you can see the fantastic detail in these. And they dry really well. I mean, this combination of Floetrol and paint is good because they do stay. You know, these aren't really going to flow a lot and move around. So, unless you're on an angle, which I've had happen before, and that's a super bummer. But, yeah, they're not really going anywhere. So anyway, I can do that later. Let me just take you down. Let's take a quick look at some look at these. Okay. So, neat, huh? Looks neat. Sorry if the camera's moving in a weird way. All right, and then this one. Looks cool. That is my favorite. There is the caterpillar. There you go. So, hope that was informative and you enjoyed it and learned something. And have a great day. Talk to you all later.